106.7 The Fan. In Washington, D.C., this is Jay Gruden confirming an earlier rumor about what the 49ers tried to do in 2017 at the quarterback position.
I know that they wanted him. Let's just say that.
The 49ers did.
The Shanahan's loved Kirk. Kirk loved the Shanahans. That's just, there's no.
Oh, yeah. He's still, to my knowledge, meets with Mike every offseason.
They brought him in here and taught him some good ball, and we were fortunate enough to keep Kirk and work with him, and now Kirk's doing his thing. But
do you think they would have given up the number 2 overall?
They would have given up more than that. They would have given up way more than that. You're talking about a quarterback who's a $150 million guy. You're going to get more than a first-round pick. You get 2 ones. And you're going to get a player. I wanted Jimmy Ward. I wanted 2 ones and a player, or maybe 2 ones and a 2. I mean, these quarterbacks. You look at all the teams that are struggling. What don't they have?
Quarterback, yeah. I mean,
that's the number one position. And Kirk had opportunities to go to San Fran, the Jets, Minnesota. It wasn't like he wasn't.
Oh yeah, he
sought
had a
after.
Right.
So we could have traded him. It would have made our team better. Instead, we got a 3rd-round conditional pick. It makes no sense.
Was it as simple as, on the outside looking in, I've always thought...
It was as simple as they didn't like the Shanahans, and they don't want to give Kirk to them.
I always thought, exactly, optics-wise, Bruce and Dan hated the idea of Kyle and Kirk having success.
Exactly, which is...
the right way to run an organization.
Yeah,
right?
It makes no sense.
I mean, that's the
it is what it is now, but I mean, it's just a shame because we have such a hot commodity. I mean, he's a young, talented player, threw for a ton of yards. His future's in front of him, and we got nothing for him. That's the worst thing, in my opinion, that happened. Aside from all the injuries and all the other stuff, that's the worst decision we made as a franchise.
Comp 3rd. Eventually.
Yeah. All right, there it is from Jay Gruden. They're obviously talking about Kirk Cousins and the 49ers going after Kirk back in 2017. This is the pick that turned into Solomon Thomas, okay? The pick that ended up going to the Bears where they took Mitch Trubisky and ended up with the 49ers in the number 3 spot taking Solomon Thomas. They could have given that pick and more for Kirk Cousins. Now, what would that obviously have meant? It would have meant a completely new path. There's no Jimmy Garoppolo. There's no Trey Lance. I don't know that you can completely say there's no Brock Purdy because you still would have had your 7th rounder last year, and who knows what the situation with Kirk would have been in San Francisco. But let's say he's playing and he's healthy. There's no Nick Bosa. Also, you're talking about someone who's going to make a whole lot of money. So therefore, your roster construction is different. You could make the case that people like Trent Williams and or Christian McCaffrey are not necessarily on the team. The whole path would have been different. Dibs would bring it up because I still think there are a number of 49er fans who, A, either think that this is going to be an option for the 49ers next offseason, or they still think this team would be better off with Kirk Cousins over the unproven portion of Brock Purdy. I wonder what everybody thinks about that.
Right.
Where do you think this would go? Kirk Cousins versus Brock Purdy now. Would you be more comfortable with this team if Kirk Cousins was the quarterback? Or maybe the better question, has Brock Purdy now done enough to make everybody stop talking about Kirk Cousins?
It will never end until they win the Super Bowl.
You think?
I don't think it will. Now, it's interesting what you say because Kirk Cousins would be on a second deal with the Niners had they traded for him in that spot, because in 2017, after the trade broke down, Washington and the Washington whatchamacallits at the time gave him a second franchise tag, which was unheard of in that era. So they tagged him for 1 more year, and you heard in the cut they laughed about how, we got a conditional 3rd or whatever when he eventually left and went to Minnesota. So you would have had to have given him a Jimmy G type of deal, 5 years, and then you would have had to decide whether or not to keep him. So you still might have had Brock Purdy because you still might have drafted Brock Purdy
in
2022. I don't think, unless Kirk Cousins was terrible, that you would have traded up to get Trey Lance, so you might have been able to avoid that. Would you rather have had Kirk Cousins than Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy who did lead you to a Super Bowl? That, to me, is where the real question lies. Yes, Brock Purdy now has put all this to rest in my eyes, in Shanahan's eyes, in the eyes of most people, but could Kirk Cousins have taken those teams and gotten you over the hump?
We haven't heard from BPA in a while. BPA, let's bring you on. I'm going to let you know right now. JB Long's going to be on in 5 minutes. You got about 60 seconds, but great to have you, man. What's up?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
What's up?
Dibs.
Brian?
Dibs looking good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, the general responsibility, but yeah, I'd take Purdy, who's won more playoff games in 11 starts than Kirk Cousins has in 11 years. Yeah, I'll take Purdy. Kirk Cousins is not a quarterback you're going to win serious stuff with. And so, that would be my take on it. Easiest one you can get, right?
Well, while I think, I agree with you. Dibs, do you agree with BPA?
I do. Brian, I miss you. I hope you've been okay. We haven't heard from you in months.
Yeah, you all right, B?
I'm great, guys.
Okay.
Life is good. But yeah, I mean, Purdy is. I'm going to top it off with, my take on Purdy is his stretch is the best stretch of 49er quarterbacking I've seen since Steve Young. As far as utilizing the entirety of the offense, seeing the field, vision, maybe you could put Kaepernick's Super Bowl run up there, but otherwise, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And for $800,000, what a deal!
Yeah.
BPA. Brian, do me a favor and stay out of my mentions on Twitter. Get in the DMs if you really want to come at me.
Wow,
stay out of my mentions.
That was an odd thing to say.
Oh, we're friends.
Stay out of my mentions, but get into my DMs.
I will DM you.
Yeah, slide into my DMs.
Yeah, keep it offline.
All right.
You can come at me like that. Come on, B.